Hey guys, Cher here, and welcome back to another day of 12 Days of Anime. For this video, I'm doing another type of vid that's been absolutely done to death, and that would be anime that I like, but obviously the fan base, the otaku fan base does not. Ugh! I felt like this should have been perfect because most times than not, I would end up being the minority opinion to a lot of these shows anyway. So, I should have came up with a bunch of anime ideas. But I only came up with a slight few for this video because anime that I have been watching recently was either A, absolutely loved by the public, or B, a bunch of hidden gems that, even if it was a small collective of people who watched the show, or read the manga, they still love it anyway. So it was kind of very hard for me to find shows or series that I liked, but the majority does not, or had mixed reviews. I did find a couple things, stuff that I was already aware of, because I'm leaning towards the minority opinion, but for some reason I still grip onto these likable opinions. Before we get started, just want to let you know right now, if you guys have any anime that your opinions on it with what you like conflicts with other people's opinions, please share in the comments below. I'm actually really curious to see what your opinions are, and based on that, would it be watchable or would it not be watchable? I would love to start the conversation, but before we get to that, let's get to my top, I can't remember how many I put on the list, but it's definitely not 13. So, top few anime that I like, but others don't. So, let's start with the most obvious one, because I've had this conversation a whole ton of times with people about this show, especially since this anime, or series in general, has come to an end. Fairy Tail. It's one of the first anime I've ever watched outside of Pokemon when I was a kid. As I said last year for 12 Days of Anime in my How I Got Into Anime video, I was in an anime club in high school that, on a whim, I decided to join because my friends were in it. And one of the first anime they showed to us was Fairy Tail. It was episode 3 of Fairy Tail. I don't know why they didn't show us episode 1, but regardless, I remember how super intrigued I was in the show because I liked the characters, I liked the humor, and I really liked the magical setting. It reminded me a lot of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, where basically what you do in the video game is you pick up missions at the mission board, and you just go out and complete the mission. That was basically Fairy Tail in a nutshell. However, I do agree with the main audience when I say that since the series, birth, I guess I should say, the series has gotten a lot worse than how it started. It started as a solid type of anime about a group of characters and their stories. But then further down the line, it just got A, very boring, B, the plot became so convoluted, and C, many years later, it just seems like the mangaka, after sitting on his, giant throne of yen that he earned, it's just we're gonna conclude the series in the most BS way possible, and I don't care about it anymore because people are still reading it anyway. It's still one of the top manga anime series to ever exist, so there's people watching it. So I'm just gonna throw in whatever I feel like, and I don't care if it doesn't match what I've written before, because apparently I'm treating it like a new work otherwise. I do agree with all of those points. Even though I'm very far behind in the series still, I'm starting to see what they're talking about, and I can even agree that I skip a lot of arcs because they're completely entirely unnecessary. However, how it started always, always, always sticks in my memory. Like, there are a lot of moments from the first anime season slash series, meaning the show that came out in, 2011, 2012? Yeah, when it first began, there were so many good moments in that series, or portion of the series. There were so many good moments that, for me, they were the best moments in anime I've ever seen. And I still hold on to that. And despite the series having a whole ton of flaws, now, I'm still very fond of it today. So, yeah, these are not actually in order. I forgot to say that at the beginning. These anime that I picked for this list are not exactly in order, but I would put Fairy Tail very low on this list if I did number them, because I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, should I drop this series now because I basically got spoiled of how it ends, but I still want to read it and watch it anyway? Maybe I should, since if I started it, if I still somewhat like it, clue being somewhat, I should continue to watch it, should I? I mean, I do have a choice at the end of the day whether I should drop it or not, but I think that's like multiple episodes away. So, I'm still gonna keep this series close to my heart, at least for now. That might change in the future if I'm still doing YouTube in a couple years, and if I want to do a new list of anime I love and people don't, because I've seen a lot more, obviously. But for now, I'm just gonna keep Fairy Tail on the very bottom of this list. So this next anime that I discovered, that people don't like, but I obviously do, because this is basically one of my favorite anime of all time. I did a review on this. So basically, by doing research about this show and about this series, this got pretty mixed reviews, but most of the reviews are pretty bad. And that's Black Bullet. Now, if you've seen my review of Black Bullet or any other of my anime videos, you know how much I love this show. Like, I talk about the good things about it all the time. And this show does have very good moments. Unfortunately, people are always telling me, especially my friends, but Cait, they have the similar things in No Game No Life that this series has, but you hate No Game No Life with every bit of your being. And that's true. The fan service is almost similar to what No Game No Life has, which I absolutely hate. But the thing about Black Bullet is, I think unlike No Game No Life, this series was actually trying to stick to the main plot that it basically showed you in the first episode. So that was what made me intrigued to continue watching, despite the fact that Black Bullet also has some, dare I say, pedophilic moments. And trust me, those moments still make me cringe. Like, I cannot describe the level of cringe that Black Bullet has sometimes. But at the very least, I had no regrets watching Black Bullet. But I had so many regrets watching No Game No Life. So that's basically my reason why I like Black Bullet still to this day. I mean, yes, it has flaws. I've always said it had flaws. But at the very least, it was trying. Another anime that I was surprised that it had mixed reviews was this anime I watched, I think, last year? Or that I discovered last year or 2 years ago that I finally got to? Kotora-san. Now, I read most of the reviews after I watched the anime because I didn't want the reviews to exactly influence my opinion about the show. But, basically, most people said in the reviews of my anime list that this show kinda had a Hunchback of Notre Dame tone problem. Because, yes, in this show, it tries to be dramatic. That it starts out incredibly dramatic and incredibly depressing. But then, for some odd reason, they decided to do a major tone switch to, oh, now it's a comedy, so you should be laughing at most of this. While at the same time, it still has those dramatic elements of, oh, we're gonna torture this girl who has psychic powers, or basically can read people's minds because she can, or because we can. While most people could find that kind of disorienting, I did not mind the tone change. I thought for the type of show that Kotora-san was, I think the mix in tones for whatever scene actually fit. Because we all knew straight from the get-go that Kotora had this crazy life because of her powers, and basically she had no idea how to control them, and heck, she didn't even know like what she was doing like was actually hurting people, because first of all, she's a kid. I don't think even in her mind she knew that she was different, so technically it wasn't her fault. So now that when she gets to this place where she now has friends who understand her powers, and they try to teach her that these powers are not supposed to hurt you or make you hide them, you should be able to embrace them. In that type of way, because her world flips upside down and towards the, like, I don't know, 5 to 10 minute mark of the first episode, it makes a lot of sense that way. I get it. If you don't like the weird tone shift that this show had, I do get it. It is very abrupt. If you didn't know what the show was about beforehand, you probably would not have understood why it did that. But personally, I really, really like this show. It's become one of my favorites. I love Kotora. She's so cute. I love the background characters. They are so funny. And despite the reviews, even after I watched the show, it still hadn't changed my mind. Next we have Anime Gatoris. I watched this show about 2 years ago when it came out. I forgot what season it came out. But when it first came out, it did fairly well because people liked it. But after the show was over, oh my god, the score keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And I think the major fault that this show had was its ending. Its ending was kind of one of the dumbest plot twists I've ever seen. And it's probably something I should have seen coming, but at the same time I did not, because I wasn't really thinking about it. I was just thinking about what the show had in each episode each week. And though I do agree that most things about this anime are pretty nonsensical, despite the fact that this is an anime that's supposed to teach you, it's basically anime for idiots. Like, this is supposed to teach you, this is what anime has most of the time, this is what usually makes a show good, and this show is supposed to make fun of it. Though at the same time, it's, like I said, more educational than it's supposed to be parody. Which, first of all, if you are a new person to anime, I think you would like the show fine. But if you are an anime veteran who basically has seen anime for many, many years, you've seen many types of anime in your lifetime, yeah, this show would be very irrelevant and redundant to you. Which I do entirely understand. And no, I'm not obsessed with the show as much as I used to, but I've had pretty fond memories while watching it. Like, again, if I were to number this list, which I'm not doing, I would put Anime Gatoris basically above Fairy Tail on likeness, because at least maybe I can have the urge to watch Anime Gatoris again, not thinking about the length of the show, but more about the content. Like, by the time I finish Fairy Tail in whatever time I get to it, I'm never gonna watch the series again. Like, I just know for a full fact that I'm never, ever gonna watch Fairy Tail again. But Anime Gatoris, maybe. A very small maybe. Because at least it's an inkling more than Fairy Tail would ever give. Then half of me wonders why I put this on the list. Cleone no Akari? Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, I think it's Cleone. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. I didn't know how to pronounce it when this show came out either. Okay, first things first, animation-wise, this show did not age well. Like, in comparison to all the other anime I've watched, this is done kinda mediocre because of the time it came out. Secondly, this is a short series, and if I know pretty much of how anime and the community works, a short anime has to do something very, very good in order for the public to really watch it. No one talks about this show. They didn't talk about it then, they don't talk about it now. And for those who do talk about it, they have very poor things to say about it. They say animation's bad. Story doesn't make any sense. Characters are not that well developed. To which I agree to an extent. First of all, I thought the story was incredibly endearing. Like, it just tugged at my heartstrings when I watched it the first time. I mean, true, what happens at the end, I still don't understand what happened because this series kind of doesn't sound like a fantasy, but then when you get towards the end of the show, it's supposed to be a fantasy. Like, each episode of this anime is only 9 minutes. So, let me think. I think it's 12 episodes. So, 9 times 12, I guess 108 minutes to explain basically what the series did and what the story was about. That's a little bit less than an average movie. I felt like if Cleone no Akari was a movie, rather than a short series, maybe we would have had more details go into it. But as it stands, I think it's okay. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but I think it's still an okay show to watch if you want something short to listen to, or I don't think it has an English dub, so I think you're basically gonna have to watch it. Oh, but by the way though, I still love the opening to this show because it's so cute and it's like so relaxing. It doesn't really prepare you for the mood or the tone that the show has at all, but I still like it for what it is. Then we have Fastest Finger First. I remember when I first saw the first episode of this show, I was like, oh my god, I don't think we've ever had a quiz anime like this before. Like, you've seen a ton of sports anime, like, there's basketball, there's baseball, there's soccer. Like, those are the popular ones. And they're, depending on, like, what the show has, it might not exactly be creative. But quiz ball? Yeah, it's not a contact sport, but it's a way different sport and a way different idea. And I was very prepared to get myself kind of educated, but very interested in this show. This show did not pan well with the mainstream audience. And they all had, like, the same opinions that the characters were not that interesting. Like, the quiz bowl concept was cool, but how it was, delivered was kinda not good. Like, they wished they elaborated more on the story rather than the Quiz Bowl sport itself. Like, you could basically learn how Quiz Bowl works just by literally watching it happen. And that's true. You can literally learn about it by just watching it happen. And how the characters also learn about the sport while doing it. I think they just felt like that Fastest Finger First was a little too straightforward. And they wish it had more complexity. I kind of do too, but I also liked the characters. Like, I didn't think they were like stick figures or anything. Yeah, they were archetypes, but they weren't exactly stick figures. So yeah, this show kind of lagged, but I thought it was still a fun watch. Like, it was fun to just put on the background, I guess. This next anime is just a very quick blip. For those of you who are saying you don't like Welcome Chitose-chan because it's a kids short anime, you guys have no souls at all. This was the most adorable thing you could ever watch. I mean, true, it's an educational piece, but first of all, this is for children. This is for little Japanese children. And you're picking on it because it's a kid's show, and just because it's a kid's show, it's not good. That's like saying Blue's Clues sucks, because it's like, oh, this is for little kids. It makes them look like idiots. No, it wasn't. I was a kid, and I liked it, I'm an adult, I still like it. I mean, true, I don't watch it anymore, but that doesn't mean I hate it. I never hated it once. So, please don't pick on Chitose-chan. Please. Then this last pick I have is kind of a cheat because this show is still airing and I think it might be almost done considering how the season is almost over, I guess. And this show is After School Dice Club. It's the basically the anime where these girls play board games. Personally, I think this show is very interesting. Like, I liked the characters. Or I like the characters because I'm still watching it. I like the characters. I like the games that they show. I think the competition of them, or how they play them, is fun. I like to see that types of stake. I don't know. I can't really gather why people don't like this show. Maybe they don't like how the characters are basically, oh, it's more cute girls doing cute things, so each girl has to be basically one personality type. Like, you have the really shy girl who keeps to herself. You have the excited new girl who basically wants to be friends with everybody. Then you have the kind of kudere slash tsundere who's like, oh, at first I don't care about you, but at the same time I want to be your friend. And oh yeah, there's gonna be a foreign girl, obviously, because in these types of anime nowadays you have to have a girl who's obviously American or European in it, because it makes the show more interesting. I mean, true, I'm kind of sick of the archetype type of thing, but that really didn't distract me from enjoying what the show is actually about. So, for those of you who looked at this anime and thought, oh, this is gonna be boring, I recommend you give it a shot. I mean, if you kind of like gaming, like, if it's not video games, if it's like board games, you might like this. Also, if you're looking for something really relaxing, After School Dice Club is pretty much your go-to. Okay, so I thought this video was going to be short, but I'm looking at my timer and it's not. So maybe by the time you watch this, it'll be entirely edited and entirely not that long. But this was really fun to talk about, and if this is going to be long, I can't imagine what the other half of this kind of series, or the sequel to this video, would be somewhere down the line of these 12 days of anime. But as always, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button down below. And also, as I mentioned earlier, if you have an anime that, or manga series that you like, but not everyone else does, please put it in the comments. I'm really interested what that would be. Like, and it doesn't matter, like, what type of score, like, on my anime list or any other review website the anime has, because sometimes an anime might have a really good score, but the fan base, like, would not like it because of one certain thing or whatever, and the anime might have a really low score, but you think it's really good. Like I said, put anything down there, I insist. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you want to catch up with the other 12 days. I promise it'll be worth it. I'm Cait, Cher, and it's been real. Ciao!